This is Gray.
This is Mel.
This is Liz.
And we want to welcome you to Chuck versus the Podcast, episode 100 for Monday, January 9th, 2012. And we have a Casey-centric episode of Discuss. But first, a couple of quick, but not necessarily light, news hits. Mel.
Yeah, I'm not sure how quick this is going to be, actually.
Yeah.
So the big news that's got everybody all riled up on in the fandom is that NBC President Robert Greenblatt had some comments over the winter TCA press tour last week that got people pretty riled up. Mm-hmm. When some reporter asked him if there was a chance for a last-minute reprieve for Chuck, I don't even know why. I mean, do they... if you're a TV reporter, how are you asking that question at this point? But anyway, Mr. Greenblatt replied, "Have you seen the ratings for Chuck? Unfortunately, that rabid fan base that was going crazy on the net didn't come to the show. Maybe it didn't come to the show because it was on Friday, but you'd think they would find the show. Show is doing a 1 rating. I think Chuck's time has come. It's over. Let's alert the masses." Well.
Ouch.
Consider us alerted, sir. I mean,
yeah.
Okay, so as I said on the site when I first posted, he's not saying anything that's not true. I mean, I would say, 90% of Chuck fans can't disagree with what he's saying. Mm-hmm. We knew the show was over already. I don't know why someone had to ask that question and get us all riled up again, but hey, gives us something to talk about. Mm-hmm. But, dude, find a different way to say it. Oh my gosh. That was kind of like, it was kind of kicking us while we're down, really. People
yeah.
grieving the end, and then he goes and says that? Mm-hmm. Not cool, dude.
Yeah,
no,
not at all
awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, not awesome at all. I don't know. I hope he has really big plans for what he's, got coming up for his term. It better be good because he's just lost a bunch of fans right off the bat. So
yeah, I mean, there's just a number of things. I mean, number one, he didn't earn these fans.
No,
he wasn't around when all this was happening, and so. I mean, I guess I can get that he just doesn't know us.
Yes. He inherited us. He inherited the situation. He did give us the final 13 episodes. He approved that. I think, other people that were there, because he just came on. When did he start? Fall? Mm-hmm. Fall of 2010.
Yeah.
And I think, people that were already there said, you really need to give him a chance to wrap this up as it's a gift to the fans. This is the right thing to do. And he did it. And for that, I'm thankful that he did that. I think, and this seems to me to be a natural conclusion for the show. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
But that's not how you treat the Chuck fandom.
Yeah.
No, you don't treat any fandom that way, but these guys, we've fought for every season that we've gotten. We've pretty much gotten to the point where we've settled into the fact that this is it. They're giving us great episodes. The showrunners, come on. They're giving us a nice send off. So I think the fans were starting to calm down. And then this guy comes along and, sorry, but bad call.
Yeah.
Bad call, poor taste.
The other thing too is that, like the thing we mentioned on the last podcast about Chuck being the number one buzzed about show. And like 3 times the buzz of the number 2, like 300% more than Desperate Housewives. But the thing is, what that is free advertising for NBC. Yeah. Like, so that's all of these fans buzzing about NBC. Mm-hmm. Like how many of us, or how many people watched Grimm because of Chuck? Like being on Friday night. And Grimm actually did a lot better than a lot of people thought it might.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At the same time, though, to play devil's advocate, all that buzz has not lifted NBC out of 4th place.
Yeah, but that's like saying moving a herd of cattle. Like,
yeah,
it takes a lot to move a network from 4th place, and however many million people watch Chuck, couldn't move a whole network. But
no,
still, that was a lot of free advertising for them.
It was. It really was. And it was a lot of, not just free advertising, but a lot of goodwill that they were building up. And he just pretty much killed it all. There's actually a couple of people that said in the comments on chucktv.net that, they had had been feeling grateful and thankful, and that one comment, they were feeling very sentimental and nostalgic and grateful to NBC for 5 seasons, and with that one comment, bam, they're done.
See, that's what I mean. We had been at the point where we were okay. Everything was cool. Chuck was coming to an end. We're grateful. Thank you, NBC. And then this guy comes along and basically pretty much kicks us in the face.
Yeah. That's
wrong. Whether you were right or wrong, you don't need to say, you don't say stuff like that to fans, the people who are going to be watching shows that you are going to try and put on the air. Yeah. On a weak network anyway. Sorry, but oops, that's a major nay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was pretty excited about Smash that's starting in February. And I'm sure that by the time it rolls around, I'll be feeling a little more generous, but I pretty much was like, man, I'm done. I'm not going to watch that. I can't. They just completely sired me. It was like when CBS canceled Moonlight back in 2008. Liz knows.
Well, people are still smarting about Fox. Quit. People are still, like 10, 11 years later, smarting about Fox's canceling Firefly.
Oh, yeah. I still smart over that.
Yeah.
But, I quit watching Fox for a while. I quit watching CBS for a while. I think I only watch one show on CBS now. Even 4 years later.
Yeah.
I just, don't tick off your fans, people. No. How is that a smart business decision?
Yeah. And to get even a little deeper, and I know we don't want to beat this to death, but, it is absolutely true. I mean, Chuck was also, it was the number one buzzed about show. It was also the number one pirated show, which is not necessarily something to be proud of. The ratings did go down to a 1.0 and down to 3-something million when they used to be 5 million. Absolutely. That's true. And the thing is that when you get towards the 5th season of the show, there's a certain natural attrition that happens.
Yeah.
But the thing is, this rabid fan base is the kind of catalyst that you need when you're planting new seeds, when they're bringing out new shows. And so like what you said about Smash, absolutely. He may not see the value in this group of online people, but this group of online people could have helped his next projects.
Right. And you're not just talking about, I mean, it's just the fans of Chuck fans they're angry right now. This guy's ticked everybody off right now, but they're going to talk.
Yeah.
And they're going to talk to their friends, and they're going to say to their friends, yeah, but NBC treats their fans so bad. Good luck with the show that you're falling in love with on NBC. It's not going to last because that's how NBC rolls.
Yeah.
So right away, now you've got a bad rap being pinned on NBC because of this guy's comments, because of word of mouth. It's going to spread like wildfire.
Yeah. It already has. It's all over the place. Yeah.
So, even people who were not Chuck fans are going to say, well, why should I invest my time in a show that, NBC doesn't care about what I care about anyway? From what I've heard, people listen to people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And especially in this day and age where social media is everything.
Exactly.
You're not just talking to your neighbor anymore. You're talking to 1,000 of your nearest and dearest online. That's bad move, man. Bad move. You think we'll see an apology?
No way.
What do you guys think? No. I don't know. When he first was announced as president of NBC, I had really high hopes because I was very impressed with what he had done with the USA Network.
Oh yeah, love that.
He turned it into a real contender. I mean, it shows regularly draw equal or higher audiences than NBC does. So I was really hopeful, and I thought, and just the tone of the network I really liked. So I was expecting to see that, and then it hasn't quite worked out that way. I mean, you got to give him some time. And then this comment was it was just mean spirited.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't expect that, but I wonder if he wasn't kind of under duress and just tired of hearing the question. And, my first reaction when I saw the question was probably the same as his. What? Why are you asking that? So it may have come out of that. And you just, I'm trying to say kind of a heat of the moment, didn't think it through. And I wonder if he won't say, you know what, that was a bad move and I should apologize for having said that.
Yeah.
In that way, I don't know.
if it was a heat of the moment thing, then it would do well for him if he did do that. If he did come out and say, look, I just was really frustrated or whatever. Mm-hmm. But heat of the moment or not, you guard your words.
Yeah. It's his job to make the network look good.
Exactly. Just because of what you just said, what he did for USA. Great. Mm-hmm. Yay. But, I bet you he didn't have fans get up in his face and say, what are you doing? Mm-mm. Because he's had so much success over there. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, but he's got no ground to stand on and to, shake his finger in our face and say, get over it. It's done. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Move on.
Yeah. Well, speaking of moving on, I guess we should move on.
All right.
Hey, look, a good segue for Gray.
Always looking for them. I'll take them when I get them. All right. Well, the Ultimate Villains Showdown. Speaking of villains, the Villains Showdown for seasons 1 through 4 was so much fun that we've launched our next tournament, the Ultimate Chuck Sing-Off. Mm-hmm. No, it doesn't mean that you have to call us up and leave your singing voice on the line for us. We're not going to do anything with it. Sorry. But this one is pretty challenging because there have been so many good songs used as great effect over the years. Yeah. So which song will embark victorious? We don't know, but you can vote at chucktv.net.
Yeah, a Josh Schwartz show, lots of great songs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Alex Pitsavis is the music director there. Mm-hmm. She's smart. Mm-hmm. Yep. And, when we compiled the list, we decided not to include every single song that's ever been used because that's over 300 songs. Mm-hmm. And it would have taken you like a day to get through round one.
Yeah.
So what we did was we chose songs that based on that they were used in a very important scene, songs that had a lot of downloads through our music pages because we can see the numbers of how many people have clicked through and downloaded something. And so those told us, what was really popular, what really resonated with bands. And then there were also songs that maybe didn't have a lot of downloads because maybe people already had them or, they like At Last by Etta James, a lot of people already had that or, it resonated, but it wasn't something that they needed to buy or own. But it comes up in conversation when people are talking about, oh, my favorite scene was this and the music really played into that and all that stuff. So that is how we chose it. So some people have gotten a little snippy about a certain song that's not on the list. And we also tried to kind of spread it out so that we didn't have, every song from Chuck versus the Ring in season 2. It was tempting, but we didn't do that. We picked a couple. So it was a fairly representative list. Mm-hmm. And so if your song is not on the list, I'm sorry, feel free to make your own poll and ask people to vote and see what they say in your poll. But for this, we've got, I think it's about 130, what is it? There's 66 polls in round 1. We started with, so times 2 is 132 songs.
Wow.
We're in the original competition and it'll just go down from there. So this is going to take us a while.
Yeah.
Awful lot. Yeah.
Yep. Well, it is January 9th and wow, Chuck is done January 27th. That is only 18 days away. I'm pretty good at math. And so 18 days away means that probably we're starting to even plan our finale parties. And even if you're not having a big one, I'm sure there are going to be some big ones, especially in LA where most of the cast is. But you might want to invite some friends over, have some cheese balls and Subway sandwiches and all the things you do at a regular Chuck finale. I want to urge you to take some pictures and send them in as we've had some galleries in the past at chucktv.net. I'm sure everybody would love to see your finale party. Dress up as one of the characters. Don't dress up. Bring cheese balls and grape soda or whatever you want to do. But I think it'd be a great way to honor Chuck and celebrate the glorious but sad end.
Yes, we want to see how you guys celebrated. And of course, Liz and I will be hosting a virtual viewing party at chucktv.net that evening. Mm-hmm. So, of course, you're welcome to join us if you'd like to.
Mm-hmm. And if you're in Toronto,
we're going to try and stretch.
Sorry, go ahead.
We're going to try and stretch a Subway sandwich from Chicago to
yeah.
See how that works.
If you're in Toronto, I have a few spaces left to come to my place. It's going to be a very intimate gathering, and I think actually it's kind of neat because the podcast started with shots of my Chuck nights back in season 1, and it'd be nice to have a nice rip-roaring one. And my place is conveniently located 1 block from the subway, and on the other side, a block the other way, is a subway. So very, very cool. So if you want a spot,
you're literally sandwiched in the middle, right?
Yeah. So if you want to come to mine, just tweet me or send an email to mail@chuckpodcast.com. Love to have you, if there's space.
Yeah. Suddenly Gray has 150 people at his house.
Yeah. Not gonna happen. Yeah. Cool. So we're going to hear from our sponsors and then roll into our discussion of a Casey-centric kept man. This week's featured sponsors have products that help your computer. Don't have enough PCI slots in your computer? Magma.com can add more, even high-end graphics or storage cards, starting at $829. Or take a look at NetStore with PCI expansion enclosures starting at $499. FX Factory by Noise Industries powers hundreds of visual effects for Final Cut Pro, Motion, Final Cut Express, and Adobe After Effects. Part 2 of our sponsor messages will be after the episode discussion. And we're back with Chuck versus the Kept Man, written by Phil Klemmer and Craig DeGregorio. I love Phil. I thought that this episode was fine. I'll put it this way. We've had bang, 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 some incredible episodes for the last handful. And actually, really, since the beginning of the season. And then we have Robert Greenblatt's comments.
Yeah.
And I think I was a little bit soured by that. And I thought this episode, there were some laughs, there were some decent moments. I didn't think it was maybe the strongest that they've had. What did you guys think?
I agree with that. It was fine. It was good. It wasn't great. And I think coming on the heels of especially last week's episode, Chuck versus the Baby, which was spectacular.
Mm.
It just it was a little bit of a letdown. But on the other hand, I really am so glad that we got to see Casey's story. It wrapped up a little bit. He got a little bit of closure. There was some character development. He used the L word. He actually called Gertrude his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. Which was cute.
It was a big step for him. He's getting in touch with his lady feelings.
Wore a sweater
and a Speedo, which we never got to see. Hello, double standard. But I think Adam Baldwin did a terrific job in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
He's really shown us how far Casey's come in the last 4.5 seasons. I was really happy with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just kind of felt like meh at the end of the episode. I didn't hate it. In the collection on the CD or the DVDs when they come, so I'm not going to skip over it, but it just didn't do anything for me. I mean, I really didn't have much to think back and say, oh, I love that moment, not really. I do love Casey and Gertrude together, and I still say that they're going to wrap up that at the last episode with them going off, and they're going to be, Volkov Industries or not Volkov, you know what I'm talking about.
Burbanski Corp.
Burbanski, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're just going to go off and they're just going to be happy doing their missions, and that's how they're just going to be. But I don't know. I just didn't really care too much about the episode. It was funny, the Jeff and Lester thing, breaking through and finding the castle. It's going to be interesting to see how they downplay that.
Mm-hmm.
Way to go, Morgan.
Yeah.
Poor Morgan Price already did his best. He did his best.
He did. Yeah. How cool was that mission?
Yeah.
That was, and they didn't even alert anybody else to what was going on, that there was even a threat of discovery. Mm-hmm. They just handled it.
Yeah.
And but I need to get shots. I hope by the time this is released, we have some screen caps of Jeff's board
Yeah.
So we can kind of put that along with Chuck's Tron poster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And kind of see, because there were things as I just briefly scanned over. It's like, oh my gosh, he totally, he's putting all of this together. He even had some Bryce Larkin stuff on there.
Oh, he did.
Really? I missed that.
I didn't scrutinize.
I don't remember ever. I mean, how did he ever know about Bryce Larkin?
How did you know that?
I don't think he ever came to the Buy More.
Yeah.
But maybe it was just, Chuck maybe commented, Sarah's ex or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I need to look that over closely and see what all he put together, because that was pretty cool.
Yeah, there was a lot of CIA on there.
Mm-hmm. And he had Chuck, he had a little thing next to Chuck's picture that said analyst or agent.
Yeah. There's Colonel.
Uh-huh.
For Casey, there was Colonel and retired. For Sarah, there was wife and assassin.
And there was also way too hot for Chuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really awesome. And then
it was interesting to me that he referred to him as the asset. That interested me.
Yeah. Yeah, some really, really interesting stuff.
I'm telling you, a drug-free Jeff is a smart Jeff.
Yeah, there was something about a poster.
Oh, no,
Tron poster. Actually, it actually said Tron poster on it.
Huh. Yeah,
wow.
We need those screen caps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's even some stuff
get in there and see it?
About Karina.
Yeah, because Karina's been in the Buy More.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he has the name Charles Carmichael.
Yeah. Because I think someone has called the Buy More looking for Charles Carmichael before, or come in and asked for that. So that makes sense. Yeah, we need to examine what Jeff found out.
Yeah.
And then Lester and Drag. Oh my goodness. And he even got the wind machine slow-mo treatment.
Yeah.
That was so funny.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm going on record as saying Lester's probably got about his legs are probably as sexy as Sarah's. Am I wrong?
They had fun with that.
I didn't actually notice. I was so stunned at what I was seeing. I wasn't really focusing, I guess, on his face.
It was that last scene. Butt. Yeah, that's right. It was that scene where I don't know. It was funny.
Oh, when they were walking away?
When they were walking away. Yeah, good.
I guess I need to rewind to watch
yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
There's a screen cap that you can blow up. Whose legs are sexier? There's Nicole. Whose legs are sexier?
Nicole.
Yeah. This, and it was funny. I hit a point in this episode where I was wondering if the C story with Jeff and Lester was going to end up being more fun than the other two. Luckily, I think the last half of the episode was stronger. Mm-hmm. And you know what it was to me, I think, was that as much as, and I've learned this through the TV Writer podcast, I interview a lot of comedy writers and comedy writing teachers. And what they always say is that as much as something may be about comedy, the plot part of it, the drama part of it has to work as well. You have to be able to remove the comedy and it still functions as a story. Mm-hmm. And basically, we didn't figure out anything that was going on about Gertrude's real intentions until past halfway through the episode. And I felt like it, a third, two-thirds, or like up to a third of the way in, even up to half of the way in, kind of just not even knowing where it was heading.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of insecure feeling does not play for the comedy. Comedy's got to have a root in order for it to be funny. Even in a just broad sitcom, mm-hmm. It still has to have that root. So I guess maybe that was what was bugging me about the episode. Yeah,
and I felt like I don't know, they could have taken the Sarah thinks she's pregnant thing down a notch or two.
Mm-hmm.
At first, I was fine with it. The holding the stomach and the running to the bathroom in the morning and smelling the pizzas going bad. But the longer that went on and Chuck wasn't figuring it out, the more I was like, okay, let's go. Let's.
Yeah, like to me, it felt like kind of like a 40-minute episode that was dragged out to 60 minutes. Like it seemed like a lot of the gags, not just that one, but the whole gag with Casey, it was just strung on too long without anything new coming in. So.
And I think that, again, that's because of the last few episodes, we've had plot development, character growth, just bam, bam, bam. And in this one, it was like, okay, I get it. Can the characters figure it out yet?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. And it's bound to happen. Like, as stories come out, they probably they had to get from A to B. They had to bring out certain stuff in Casey. They had to bring out certain stuff, like with Jeff and Lester finding out at the end. That's got to play into a plot further on. And maybe they just didn't have enough to connect the dots, to bridge the gap. Enough story. Yeah,
not enough content. That's what it was. It felt like more filler than anything, which kind of bothers me because that's, it's a Casey episode. It feels like nobody really knows how to write for him, Mm-hmm. Because I'm thinking back, and pretty much every Casey-centric episode kind of feels like there's not quite enough content. They're not quite sure what to do with the BNC story to fill it in.
Well, I mean, Tic Tac was, but the thing is, they had a lot of backstory to cover to fill everything, and also a lot of great action with the Colonel character and a great villain. Where with this one, the whole Gertrude thing interfered with that. You didn't have a great villain. You also didn't have any new backstory to bring in. And
right. The whole point was Casey loves Gertrude. Yeah. He acknowledges that he is in love with her, and he tells her that. And it kind of, it showed us more about how their relationship is structured, that she likes to be in control. And it seems to me he's fine with that as long as it's not outrageous. Mm-hmm. He didn't like the whole luxury vacation to South Beach he didn't like being lied to.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is that Gertrude was out of character for the first half hour. Like the first time I genuinely felt that they connected was when she said, we might get shot, when she's talking about going to that tough place, Dresden. Yeah. Dresden is going to be tough. We might get shot. It's like, that was the real Casey Gertrude moment for me. And the rest of it, like her wanting to relax in the sun and all that, as much as it might have been for a ruse, it just didn't feel in character for her.
Yeah.
It was odd to see her kind of, by the pool, sexy get up and not in a black, head to toe black uniform.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. But in the end, I think we got a little bit of closure or a little, at least further down the path for the end of the story for Casey.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems pretty obvious, as Liz has been saying for weeks, that it will involve Gertrude.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also another woman in his life, and I really loved that.
Yeah.
And that he did sit down and watch Downton Abbey. And that joke at the end, oh, she's in trouble now. She's at the wrong court.
Yeah.
That's such a guy thing to do.
Yeah, which actually, Kristen Newman told me that all of the Chuck writers get together to watch Downton Abbey.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I knew they had good taste.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. So it was a little inside joke. Oh, and speaking of inside jokes, the list of baby names. Did you see it?
I didn't register.
Levi was on the list of baby names.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yep. That was cute.
Yes, it was indeed.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Little Levi.
Yep. Yeah. Little Levi Bartowski.
How cute. How cute.
Yeah.
All right. I got to say, Ryan McPartlin.
Yes. That was fun.
When he came out dressed in the white jacket, the bow tie, the glasses, slicked back hair. I'm a very happily married woman, but my knees got a little bit weak.
That is a good look. Yeah. He looks good and formal.
He can pull off the 007 spy look pretty well.
Yeah.
Okay, now this is the third time in 10 episodes that he has role played as a spy.
Mm-hmm. And fun every time.
Yeah, this time it was without Ellie, but you know, she's done it the 2 other times. I'm really wondering what's going on with that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an accident that they keep doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I guess that's something to talk about in the spoiler section.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, so it wasn't a bad episode. It just wasn't anything to write home about. And I am looking forward to the next 4. It's hard to say that there's only 4, but I think that there's some awesome stuff coming, and we will talk about that in the spoilers.
Yes.
So I guess if that's all we have, we'll see you next time. Make sure you do watch Chuck Fridays at 8, 7 Central. And thanks for watching. Spoilers are coming, so if you don't want spoilers, you know the drill. Red Giant's Magic Bullet Suite can give you Hollywood-style looks and special effects as simply as with a single click. For a short time only, get Magic Bullet Mojo for only $49. Starting your own podcast? You need an audio interface to get sound in. Go to presonus.com for a wide range of affordable yet high-quality options. And if you're a photographer, you can get a lot more out of your camera with high dynamic range photography, made possible by Photomatics software. And we're back with spoilers, which are going to end soon. Pretty soon we won't have any spoilers. But for this week we do. Mel.
We have the synopsis for next week's episode 510. It's called Chuck versus Bo Derek, or as the promo would say, Chuck versus Bo freaking Derek.
Yeah.
Morgan faces the consequences of his time as the Intersect when he must piece together a lost weekend in Vale. Bo Derek and Angus McFadden guest star. And as Chuck and Sarah try to realize a new, safer future, Morgan's past as the Intersect sends them to Vale on one last mission, where they enlist the help of an unlikely source, the legendary Bo Derek.
As herself.
Elsewhere, Jeff and Lester continue their own spy mission.
Interesting.
Now, Fedak told me, I email him after every episode, and this week it was to apologize because I once, at the beginning of the season, told him I was afraid Sarah was losing her edge, and I'd email after she ran over a dude. Following, after 2 episodes of her being amazing and awesome, and then she runs over a guy, I was like, I think I owe you an apology. Anyway, he said, next week, it gets crazy.
Wow.
I said, yeah, I kind of got that. It looks insane. That promo, dude. Yeah. Morgan's back with the frosted tips.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that too. That either this is a flashback or he's going to go undercover so that he can be recognized by somebody. I don't know.
Yeah. I think he has to go undercover because Chuck's with him.
Mm-hmm.
And Bo Derek comes up and lays one on him.
Yeah.
So apparently they have a history.
Yeah.
One would think.
Well, anything with Morgan that heavily involved is definitely labeled crazy.
Yeah.
Destined for craziness.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see. A lost weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, the official synopses for the final 2 episodes of Chuck were released last week, giving us a few clues about how the show will wrap. First is episode 512, Chuck versus Sarah. Yeah, there's been a lot of speculation about this. Sarah must keep a secret from Chuck in order to accomplish a mission. Angus McFadden, I always say his name wrong, sorry, guest stars Nicholas Quinn. After a harrowing mission, Sarah returns to Chuck with a huge secret. Meanwhile, Ellie and Awesome are presented with a new opportunity that could change their lives.
Wow.
Spies! They're going to be spies! They have to be. Right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But with baby Clara, what are they gonna? I don't know.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But Sarah's got another secret.
Yeah, I think that was a false. I think that was a false negative on the pregnancy test. Yes. I mean, what was with the peace sign? What is that?
I don't know.
Well, and after that was finished, I couldn't help but think, well, what about all the symptoms she was having?
Exactly.
Never explained it.
I think, I don't know. I think actually peace sign means like too soon to tell or something. Because who would use a peace sign to say you're not pregnant?
Mm-hmm.
It's like anti-pregnancy. It's like, you'll get peace. You have no kid. You know, there's nothing growing in there. I mean,
I thought it was just the way Chuck was reading one of the symbols. I didn't know there was actually a peace sign there. That's
maybe
even funnier now.
Yeah.
What's that, an arrow?
Yeah. Well, and so here's the synopsis for the final episode of Chuck. Chuck versus the Goodbye, or our internal title, Chuck versus the Kleenex. Chuck's final mission brings him back to his roots as he fights to save his future. Angus McFadden and Linda Hamilton guest star.
Yay!
Chuck enlists his family, friends, and some unexpected allies as he races to stop Nicholas Quinn, guest star Angus McFadden from Braveheart. We all know, Braveheart's one of my favorite movies anyway. From destroying everything Chuck has built over the past 5 years. Time machine? What?
It's the Tron poster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, this Nicholas Quinn character, he's our final big bad.
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but think that that it wasn't just the fact that we were seeing Morgan, this last weekend, that had Fedak saying that things are going to get crazy. I think it's because that 510 is the first episode that Nicholas Quinn appears in, and things are really starting to move for the end game. Because he's there through the finale. So something major is going on with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Just a few left.
Yep. Just a few.
Cool.
Chuck versus the Kleenex.
Yep. Chuck versus the Kleenex. So
we're all getting a little bit quiet over here.
Yeah.
So I guess on that note, invest in Kleenex. And we will see you next time.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.